Welcome back everyone, and today I want to talk about the core function of what makes you rank on Etsy. So you guys need to know exactly what the factors are that make you rank in search and non-search areas of Etsy. Because if you can't rank, you can't make any sales, and then your business is not going to succeed. So I'm going to give you the 5 ranking factors, and I'm going to do them in order of importance. Now, Etsy has never officially labeled them in order of importance, but I'm going to do this for you because I've got 8 years experience building, growing and repairing failing Etsy shops, and I'm pretty confident that I can order them from the least important to the most important. So I'm going to be doing that for you in a minute. But before we get to the ranking factors and before we understand what makes you rank on Etsy, I just want to talk about what happens before you rank. So what happens before you rank is something that Etsy call query matching. So a customer puts in their search term, silver filigree bracelet, and then Etsy will go and find those products. Query matching is being eligible to be ranked. If you have the keywords in your product title, your listing tags, and occasionally in your product descriptions, which I've talked about in another video, you are available for query matching. So you're available to be ranked. And that's very important to understand. So the SEO side of it, people talk about ranking, and I'll just be clear here. SEO makes you eligible to be ranked if the customer types in a keyword that doesn't have many results, so there's not many products out there, then you are going to appear to rank. You're going to be right at the top of search, but that's not because you're ranking. No, not at all. It's Etsy's only got 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 direct matches for that. All the other products that you see in the search results are partial matches. So they're not the product at all, but Etsy has to fill the search pages. Remember that Etsy has to fill up all those pages with something for customers to look at. So when you have a low competition keyword, it's not that you're ranking, not at all. It's just the fact that there's no real competition for that keyword. So that's query matching. Let's get into the 5 factors that make you rank on Etsy. So number 5 on this list, and the least important of the 5, but it has to be mentioned, is recency. So when you list a new product, the product that you list gets a small temporary boost by Etsy. The boost is tiny. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that you should be renewing your listings and things like that to get these boosts. No, that's not what I'm saying. But Etsy gives the product a small boost when it's published for the first time and when it's renewed, just to see what interest is out there in the marketplace, so that it can get an initial gauge or understanding of, well, is this listing going to be any good? Is it going to be rubbish? Well, let's find out. So stores that have more items in stock, and this is why I keep pushing you guys to get to 100 items, if you're publishing new items and renewing items more frequently, you're sending more signals to Etsy that new products or renewed products are entering back into your store, and you get these little visibility boosts. Now, compare that with a store that doesn't do much, that doesn't have many products, and products aren't being published or renewed. Well, these little recency boosts aren't going to be happening in those stores. So it's always best. This is why we talk about, and why I talk about, having an active store. So you're always doing something, you're always publishing a product, you're renewing, you're following your listing plan, you're growing your store. This is why. It's because Etsy sees activity in your store and you are recent. You have recency in your store. You're relevant because things are going on in your store rather than a store that's sitting there and not doing much. So number 5 is recency. Let's get on to number 4. Number 4 on what makes you rank on Etsy is relevancy. And this is slightly more important than recency. And relevancy is, I mentioned it at the beginning when I was talking about query matching. Relevancy is how accurate are your keywords to the customer search query. But it's, as I said, it's not technically ranking. So if a customer types in 4 keywords, and I always use this one, sterling silver filigree necklace, okay, that's 4 keywords. That's very specific. So Etsy is going to go and try and find the 4 keywords. And let's just say there wasn't much competition. You have those 4 keywords. You are very relevant for that search query. But it's not that you're technically ranking, it's that there's not much competition, so you will appear high in the search results. However, that is still valid, because at the end of the day, if your product is appearing high up in the search results, even if it isn't technically ranking, it's due to lack of competition, it should be part of this list because your product is more visible, if not quite in the way that Etsy says. It's because of lack of competition, but it's definitely a tool that you can use. So long tail keywords, 3 words, 4 words, 5 words is a method of stripping away the competition. And because Etsy mentions relevancy in the ranking factors, I have to mention it as well. And it's number 4 in my list. Very straightforward. Lack of competition, longer keywords, you will appear higher in the search results. Let's get on to number 3. Things get interesting now. Okay, so number 3, probably one that you weren't expecting, is translations, location, and language. And one of these 3 is really, really important. And there's not a lot you can do about it. So, well, there is one thing you can do about it. I'll tell you what to do with that. So translations, location, and language if you are translating your listings, have you done them yourself? Are they accurate? So if you describe your products more accurately yourself, then Etsy's auto-translate. That could then get you the benefit of niche searches and accurate searchings based on what I've just said about relevancy previously. And that includes language as well. The main one, and there's not much you can do about this, is location. So if you have a store in the United States, I can tell you now, you are in a very, very strong position, simply because the bulk of the buyers, the customers on Etsy, are in the United States. It's a massive advantage, okay? And Etsy says that if you fill out your 5 components of your shop setup, which is seller icon, shop about page, shop announcement, and policies, you will get a slight boost in search. As part of that, you need to fill in your location. So when you fill in your location, you're telling Etsy where your store is in the world, and that is better for customers. And Etsy, remember guys, I've told you this a few times, I'm going to remind you again, Etsy localizes search results. So this is why location is important, and lots of stores don't put it in because they don't want the customers to know that they're not in the USA, which I don't think is a good idea. I think you should disclose your location. It's really important. But Etsy localizes, so sellers in the United Kingdom will get localized results. Sellers in Europe will get localized results. Now, sellers in Canada will get localized results. And although Etsy has never officially admitted it, I strongly believe sellers in the United States also get localized results. So number 3 is language, translation, and location. Let's get to number 2. Number 2 on the list, and this is, again, some of you may not have heard of this before, is customer and market experience score. So this is basically, what do Etsy customers think of your store? So how do they find the products? Are you getting decent reviews? Are they positive? Are they working for your store? And Etsy defines reviews, by the way. 5-star and 4-star are positive, 3-star is neutral, and 2-star and 1-star are negative. So is their market experience in your store good? Is it positive? And the other side of it is customer experience. So are you providing good customer service? Are your items going out on time? Do you not have too many orders in your processing? So one of the things that nobody ever talks about, guys, no, I've never heard anyone mention this, but I'll tell you straight. Once you get, and a lot of you won't have this problem, but I'm just letting you know, Once you've got 50 orders outstanding, so 50 orders outside your processing window, so overdue, Etsy, once they catch it, they will reduce your visibility. Your store visibility basically goes down to 0. So you never want to have more than 50 items overdue for processing. Anyway, so Etsy checks your customer and market experience score to see how desirable your store is. Are people going to want to do business with you? That is very, very important. It's a long-term game. It's a long-term game, and it's linked. It's linked to Star Seller now in respect of, are you getting the scores to become Star Seller now? But in the future, Etsy is going to use this as a ranking signal as well. Star Seller, as I mentioned in my previous video, I believe is going to become part of ranking. It's kind of obvious now that they're going to do this. So it pays you to make sure that your customer market experience, basically how well you conduct your business on Etsy, is top notch. So that's number 2. Let's get to number 1. I'm sure some of you know what this one is. So number 1 in this list, and most important, it's no surprise, is listing quality score. So what is the quality score of your listing? Is it selling? Do you have sales velocity? This is what it's all about. You will have seen this, guys. Don't take my word for it. Haven't you seen in your store certain items that sell over and over again, right? Certain items. That is listing quality score and sales velocity in action. Remember, every time you sell a product on Etsy, Etsy raises the visibility of that product because you've given the signal of trust to Etsy that your product needs to be looked at more. What else is it going to be? Nothing else matters more than the product making money for Etsy. And making money for you, of course, but making money for Etsy. That's what matters. That's all they care about. So if you're sending the signal of trust, Etsy's going to push your products. They'll become more visible and you will make a boatload of more sales. One of my best sellers in my digital store, it's a seasonal item, and at Halloween it does 10 to 15 sales a day for a month prior to Halloween. That's down to quality score and pretty much nothing else. It's not down to reviews. It hardly gets any reviews. All the other factors are tiny. It's about the sales. Bang, 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 bang. So listing quality score is what it's all about. And you have to make sure your listings are as desirable as possible. And the 2 things I have to say to you guys, it's so important: photography and video. The level of standard is going up all the time. You have to make sure all your photography is stellar or as near to stellar as you can, and that you've got accurate product in use videos. Show the product in use. So many people don't understand this. I see videos with jewellery, earrings going around on teacups and stuff like that. No, show the product in use. If you've got a necklace, put it on. If you've got a watch, put it on. Whatever it is. If you've got a chopping board, do some chopping with it. So it's these basic factors that add up to the potential for your listings to gain listing quality score. That's the holy grail. You want a store as full as possible with listings that are positive quality score. They're selling regularly, they're getting reviews. That's what you're looking for. You don't want a store with 50 items in it and only 3 are working. You know, you want a big amount of your store items to be selling and working for your store. So number 1 is listing quality score. Tell me in the comments how you're doing with quality score, how many items in your store are selling out of the total amount. And let me know how you're going. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.